Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! I have loved creating Descendants and Zombies videos for all of my life because I know how much the franchises mean to somebody who's watched the franchises for what feels like forever, because they can relate to the characters, the story, the emotion behind it. It's so much fun for me being here talking about Descendants and Zombies for each and every single person who's ever proudly said they were a fan of Descendants and Zombies. Now that could be the original Descendants trilogy, that could be The Rise of Red, that could be the Zombies trilogy with Zed and Addison being the leads. You know, to me it really doesn't matter. I just love being here talking about Descendants and Zombies, and that's why it's so easy for me to create hundreds of videos about Descendants and Zombies with my predictions and my thoughts in them, because I know everybody out there has a thought or a prediction that they could be making about Descendants and Zombies that they have made in conversations with their friend. Probably they meet each other in school, they become the best of friends because of Descendants and Zombies. I love this so much because I've never seen a franchise have such a profound impact and leave a forever imprint on all of our hearts as much as what Descendants and Zombies have. I mean, High School Musical years ago, I remember the premiere of High School Musical 2. It had 17 million viewers on Disney Channel. That was a record that has never been surpassed and really stood the test of time. To this day, it's the greatest record and the greatest number that Disney Channel has ever produced. But that doesn't mean to Descendants' 6.7 million who tuned in to watch the premiere of Descendants on July 31st, 2015. That doesn't mean that that can't happen for Descendants. While High School Musical may go down in history for being the greatest Disney Channel movie ever produced, I think Descendants and Zombies definitely is well on its way to really having a legacy that will never ever be forgotten. And I, for one, am just incredibly excited to be a part of it, because this has really been a journey where I've discovered myself, where all of you have discovered yourself. You have found your place in the world. Some of you are still trying to figure out your place in the world. And you'll get to that point because of Descendants and Zombies. Descendants and Zombies is a beautiful franchise that has touched our hearts in so many unbelievable ways. For me, it goes all the way back to the original Descendants on July 31st, 2015. That was the same night that Bunk premiered for the first time, and I got my first opportunity to see Peyton List on her own TV series. And I remember being a part of this moment and thinking that everything about Descendants was really, you know, hitting us in the heart really, really significantly, because it was a moment that we knew we were going to be a part of history. Descendants was something that touched my life in so many unbelievable ways, and I know it touched your life in so many unbelievable ways, and that's why it's such an honor for me to be here talking about it. You know, the first Descendants movie introduced us to the VK kids. We didn't know quite what to make of Mal. We didn't know quite what to make of Vivi. All we knew was that some way or somehow they were going to find a way to touch our hearts with a powerful script. When the emotions were too high, they went to the music. Songs like Rotten to the Core, which opened up the movie, really set the tone for what Descendants was going to represent for the next decade. I don't think going into it, anybody expected Descendants to last for an entire decade and leave the imprint on our hearts like it did, but it most certainly did. And by Descendants 2, the music got better, the story got deeper, the relationship between Sophia Carson and Dove Cameron was really put on display for that song Space Between. And I remember the reviews that it received. It was truly unbelievable, the reviews that song received, and Dove Cameron herself was so honest about it and how much it meant to her. I think it meant both so much to her and Sophia Carson because of their friendship really being the most powerful one of that generation to come out of a Disney Channel original movie since the days of Ashley Tisdale and Vanessa Hudgens, and of course Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens, who had such great chemistry on the set of High School Musical. I remember being such a huge fan of High School Musical years ago and thinking to myself, you know, Troy Bolton and Gabriela Montez were Disney's power couple of that generation. And I think now the power couple of this generation is easily taken over by Zed and Addison, because their contributions to the Zombies franchise will never be forgotten. And the thing about, you know, Gabriela Montez and Troy Bolton were there were so many moments of the High School Musical era that we remember for, you know, the moments that we will forever and always cherish as this power couple that they're remembered for. But I think there are so many moments when you talk about Zed and Addison that you just can't list off, or you just can't rank from 1 to 10. I know I wouldn't be able to do it because there were so many moments from Zombies 4 down to the Vampires when all they ever wanted was to spend the rest of their lives together, or when they met for the first time in Zombies in the zombie safe zone and they bumped heads and they instantly fell in love with each other from the moment they made eye contact. I know that a lot of people are going to miss Zed and Addison, even though they're so excited about Freya Skye and Malachi Burton taking over as Victor and Nova, and their story still has so much to be introduced to us as fans of the franchise. I will be honest to each and every one of you, as much as I love Victor and Nova, I think I love Zed and Addison that much more, because Zed and Addison is what made me fall in love with the Zombies franchise so much. So it's going to be very hard for me to get used to these new leads and what they're going to be offering to the Zombies franchise. And that's not saying they're not going to offer so much as what Zed and Addison did, because I believe that they will eventually, offer just as much, if not a more compelling story, because I think that's one thing to be expected about Zombies 5, is that it's going to be a more compelling story. I mean, one can expect a compelling story with mermaids and pirates and sirens, possibly seeing their introduction into the Zombies franchise, and I, for one, am incredibly excited to see where the story takes us, because we've seen just about everything in Zombies. We have seen werewolves, we have seen aliens, we have now seen vampires, two different groups of vampires, daywalkers and nightwalkers. I don't know how I really feel about, the two different groups of vampires, daywalkers, and nightwalkers. A lot of people can't make sense of it. I don't know what's so hard to understand about a vampire being a daywalker and a nightwalker. A vampire in the daylight, of course, is a daywalker. A vampire who exists in the nighttime is a nightwalker. I think it's just a way for people to criticize this franchise. Because I remember when the music videos dropped, 3 or 4 months before Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires had premiered, and everybody just wanted to criticize it. Everybody was on their podcast, they were talking about the Place to Be music video, and they were saying, this should have happened, this should have never happened. They were saying more negative things about it and posting more negative reviews of it because they just couldn't make sense of the concept of a daywalker and a nightwalker. It's really easy to follow, and that's something I really appreciate about these stories. While these stories got deeper, it's really easy to follow both of these stories and to understand why these franchises had a profound impact on all of our hearts. We're down to the final week of the Worlds Collide tour, and I give the writers and producers and the stars that were a part of it a profound amount of credit for really blowing this tour out of proportion, because this tour deserved all the attention it received. I don't know how I feel about all the critics reviewing it the way that they did, saying they didn't really get the most out of their concert experience. I think everybody took away something from this tour that will forever and always be cherished, because I think more than anything else in the world, somebody wanted to be a part of this tour. For whatever reason, you wanted to be a part of this tour. You loved it so much, and you guys did a fabulous job, really bringing this tour to life in unimaginable ways. And it's one thing to be a writer and producer of this thing, and, you think back about tours like the Best of Both Worlds tour and the Cheetah Girls and High School Musical Live and Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King, all these stage productions Disney has done. This has to be the most fabulous stage production that I think I've ever seen Disney do, because they really put their hearts into it, and everybody who was a part of it was just so proud to be there. I remember that performance of Freya Sky at the Worlds Collide tour of her song Gold Is Gone, when she really introduced us to who she was as an artist and what she wanted to become, and she became so emotionally indebted into her performance, which is something I had great appreciation for. Kylie Contrell did the same, and I was thinking to myself, you think about how far these stars have come, but how yet they have further to go in their careers. I think 10 years from now, I think Freya Sky is going to be like a Taylor Swift. I really do. I say this because, nobody ever thought Taylor Swift would go on to become the biggest superstar in the world. And now, 25 years after Taylor Swift exploded in popularity, she's very overrated. I think that Freya Sky is going to head down that same career path, and she's going to just blow up because of just how beautiful her songs are, the message behind the songs, how beautifully she does represent the character Nova in the Dawn of the Vampires movie. I think that she's just going to be something so special. She's going to be like an Ariana Grande, a Taylor Swift, if anything, and I'm incredibly excited about that. I get this from all the interviews that Meg Donnelly does for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires and the PR, and she talks so highly of Freya Sky. I don't think there is anybody else that Meg Donnelly would have wanted to carry on her legacy as Addison in the Zombies franchise, which makes this so special. I think the chemistry not only existed between Zed and Addison for Zombies for so many years, but it also existed between Zed and Addison and the characters that they were passing the torch to, setting up for this significantly emotional moment, and a time really that I don't think any Zombies fan is ever going to forget. I think one of the biggest things going into Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires that I was really looking forward to and I was the most excited about was seeing the torch passed from Zed and Addison to Victor and Nova, because I think that a lot of people were uncertain of the direction of Zombies, what direction they were going to take this one in. I don't think anybody ever thought that we would see mermaids going into Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires even being suggested, but I think that where all these rumors about mermaids and pirates and sirens came from was a couple of weeks before Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, had been premiered. Milo Manheim, one of the executive producers, in a teaser on a TikTok live video with Meg Donnelly, teased the possibility of mermaids seeing their introduction into the Zombies franchise. I think he was just trying to really kayfabe it, but also wanting to tell us what was next in the way of a chapter for Zombies, which is why I really think we should really shut down the idea of Zombies 5 never happening, because I think a lot of people just would love for us to get to this point where Zombies and Descendants movies are never produced ever again, because so many people are so annoyed by the stories, by all the characters that are finding their way into the franchise. The thing is, it's a success overnight. And because it's a success overnight, everybody is just wanting to criticize it because they don't want to see Descendants get to a point where it becomes the most revered franchise in Disney's history. I really do believe that we are at a point in time where we are a part of history, and this is something that we should never ever take for granted, because the thing about time is time always runs out. You know, I think one of the greatest things ever is when you realize that you've gotten a franchise to a point that you never ever thought you would ever see it happen for the franchise. I don't think that people like Dove Cameron, Sophia Carson, Freya Skye, Kylie Cantrell, Amelia Baker ever thought that these franchises would get to the point that they're at right now. I think about how these franchises would have fared if they would have competed against Twilight and The Vampire Diaries and True Blood when watching TV series based off of vampires and werewolves was the thing. I remember in 2008 how popular Twilight was and how The Vampire Diaries exploded with over 150 plus episodes, and I was thinking to myself, you know, how would Descendants of Zombies fare in an era that was captivated by TV series that were based off of vampires? That would have been so cool. That would have been so cool to see, because I think the popularity of the Zombies franchise would have been so phenomenally put off. I think that more people would have, appreciated it. We probably wouldn't be seeing so much criticism. I think that the popularity of it definitely would have been tripled from what it is now. I mean, you think about how popular Twilight was. I mean, tens of millions of people wanted nothing more than to be a part of this franchise and its success. I mean, tens of millions of people were addicted to watching The Vampire Diaries. Freya Skye herself was a huge fan of Stefan Salvatore and Damon Salvatore, the Salvatore brothers from The Vampire Diaries. Of course, she was obsessed with the Twilight Saga and Edward and Jacob. I mean, I remember being a part of it. So when I heard that Disney was really coming into its own by introducing its own take on franchises that were represented by werewolves and vampires and zombies, I thought this was the coolest thing ever, because it represented acceptance. It represented hope for somebody out there. And I've never ever wanted to take away hope from everybody, no matter what niche I was talking about. Those of you who have known me for forever on YouTube, and maybe some of your parents have watched some of my retro videos when they were growing up. I know I've been talking about everything from the Backstreet Boys to the Spice Girls to Aaron Carter to Britney Spears forever. I've been on YouTube since 1999, so probably some of your parents grew up when they were dating your dad, watching me on YouTube talking about different niches. And one thing that everybody remembers me for all the time that I've been on YouTube is talking about how I want a dream to happen for everybody, or I want somebody to realize that a dream can happen for them even if it hasn't happened already. Because a dream does exist for everybody out there. And I have never given up on that hope that a dream can and will happen for somebody, because I think that the more that you can encourage a dream happening for somebody, the further that dream can be taken. And the more potential will be realized, the more rewarding the experience will be for you, because you get to a point where you sit back and you realize, that this really happened for me. This become a realization for me. I've been saying this since 1999, so I was really appreciative, and I found it really cool how Kylie Cantrell opened up the Worlds Collide Tour in Sacramento, California. I believe it was on July 15th of this past summer. And she said that dreams can happen for everybody. All you've got to do is to hold on to that specific dream, whatever that dream is. And I really do mean that. I don't care what that dream is. It could be joining the cheerleading squad. It could be joining the wrestling team. It could be joining the football team. Whatever dream you have, go for it. If you want to join a gym and find out how much weight you can lift, go for it. Because you only have one life to live. I mean, some of the strongest people are the people who set their goals and they achieve their goals no matter how long it takes them. And I think that's something that Zombies and Descendants has always tried to instill in our minds, is that dreams can happen for anybody out there. And I just love being here telling you guys that dreams can happen for you. I've had a lot of opportunities in my lifetime, but I would have never had the opportunities I was given if I didn't go out and pursue my dreams of wanting to be a journalist. All of my life, I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to sit behind a microphone, and I wanted people to hear my opinions on things like the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears at the time, and then that evolved into something far greater than I ever thought or could have ever imagined, talking about Descendants of Zombies. And 25 years later, I have finally fallen into a niche that is so appreciative of the videos that I upload, because all I ever wanted was for my voice to be heard and my videos to be seen by thousands of people. And some way or somehow, that happened for me. But it didn't happen for me because I wanted it, it didn't happen for me because the opportunity came knocking on my door. I had to go out and I had to pursue that opportunity. And 25 years later, I'm well on my way to becoming one of the greatest of all time, with over 57,000 channel views and over 3,000 subscribers nearly on this YouTube channel, which is truly unprecedented. I never ever thought that this YouTube channel would get to the point that it did, and I feel so honored to be in your guys' presence. And I wish more YouTube creators out there would go out of their way to feel the same way that I do about Descendants of Zombies and take away from it the same appreciation that I've taken away from it, because there is so much of a positive vibe that you get from these movies. I mean, years ago, yes, Hannah Montana and High School Musical may have been popular, but did they ever instill in our minds that dreams can happen for you as much as these two franchises? No. Was the music as good as what Descendants of Zombies has presented us with? Probably when you talk about Hannah Montana, but if not for the music, I don't think the story would have really added up and really would have touched people's hearts the way that it did. I think the music is what made Hannah Montana a superstar overnight, but I think that when you talk about a franchise being represented by music, I think Descendants of Zombies steals our hearts every single time, because no matter who we are, we have a favorite song from Descendants, regardless if it's Rotten to the Core, Ways to be Wicked, Space Between, Life is Sweeter When You Are, Red, Get Your Hands Dirty. I can go on and on and on. And honestly, the Rise of Red soundtrack, no matter how much criticism it received, was one of the best Descendants soundtracks of all time. It may have only had 8 songs on it, but I think we see ourselves through these songs, and we can share in our experiences more than we ever have through these songs. I mean, more people are doing it now with an open heart and an open mind, talking about their personal experiences because they can relate to what they see in Descendants. I'm sure everybody who was a fan of Descendants saw themselves through the eyes of Red at one point or another, thinking about their own life, how they wanted to go out and achieve more than what people probably thought they were ever going to amount to, because you think about the story between Red and her mother. Her mother wanted her to become the most evil Disney villain in history, and she ultimately wanted to go out and achieve something far greater than what her mother ever wanted her to amount to, especially with how the Queen of Hearts was meant to have been the most annoying Disney villain ever in history. I remember watching all the takes on Alice in Wonderland and thinking to myself, I think this character was created to be ultimately the most annoying Disney villain in history, and she became that. But the thing about Red that made her so different was she was so fearless, and she was so strong, and ultimately at the end of the movie, even though they have to deal with the consequences of time travel now with the upcoming Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, the thing is, Red found her place in the world, and she found acceptance, which is something that I think every Descendants movie at one point or another tried to promote. I mean, Mal was supposed to have been the most revered Disney villain in history. Being the daughter of Maleficent is a huge responsibility with how much of a legacy Maleficent has. And working alongside one of your childhood idols, Crystal Chenoweth, that really helped Dove Cameron eventually become somebody who would go on to achieve acceptance. I think no matter what franchise you're talking about, acceptance has been what the franchise has revolved around. Mal trying to find acceptance in Auradon and eventually falling in love with Ben, who was originally supposed to have married Audrey, who became a villain by Descendants 2. There are so many unbelievable moments that Descendants has forever and always captivated us with and stole our hearts because of. And that's why I love talking about it so much, is because I see the franchises for what they're worth. I see the franchises for their true value. And I think that if somebody realized how much true value existed in these franchises, instead of just coming on their YouTube channel and saying, okay, hi everyone, I am the biggest Descendants of Zombies fan in the world, what makes you the biggest Descendants of Zombies fan in the world? Why do you see yourself so inspirational through these franchises? What do you get the most out of your experience for being a Descendants of Zombies fan? I think that if you claim that you are the greatest Descendants of Zombies fan of all time, what makes you the greatest Descendants of Zombies fan of all time? Is it because you love the music? Is it because you love the story? Is it because you see yourself through the eyes of a certain character? Do you draw inspiration from a character? For me, it was always Bridget in The Rise of Red. She ultimately became my favorite Descendants character of all time, and that really says something because I was the biggest Dove Cameron fan ever. But when I got introduced to Ruby Rose Turner as the character Bridget, and I saw what she wanted to promote and what she wanted to really put out there about how much of a profound impact bullying can have on a person, I thought to myself, this character is really magical. This character really, changes my perspective on life because she really put out there how far kindness can really go and how far kindness can really take a person. If anything, Ruby Rose Turner inspired me to be a kinder person to people. And I try to be that every day of my life. No matter how hard it may seem to be, I think everybody can make a difference. And that's what I wanted to convey with this YouTube channel, no matter if I was talking about Descendants, zombies, or both. I wanted to convey that there is never enough kind people in this lifetime that we see, and there are never enough kind words said to people. And that's why I've always tried to convey a message of I love you, and I respect you guys for being Descendants of Zombies fans, because that's really what it comes down to, is how much respect the host of his show has for his audience, because I know that I would not be here if not for each and every one of you. 20 years ago when my show first premiered on August 15, 1999, nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew what I was going to talk about. Nobody knew I was going to have such a huge following as what I did. But I have never had such a huge response and been achieved so much since falling in love with this Descendants of Zombies franchise that I just want to be a part of forever. I really do want to be a part of this forever. I want to enjoy this for however long it lasts. Even if the franchise only has another 5 years, I would love to be a part of the next 5 years, and I would love to give you my commentaries and analogies on Descendants of Zombies, because I really think this franchise has a lot left to be discovered, has a lot left to achieve, and a lot more of a story to be told that I'm just so honored to be here to be covering for you guys, because I think that, it's one thing to show up on YouTube and rank your favorite songs and your favorite moments about Descendants of Zombies, but to create a video about Descendants of Zombies, you really have to be in touch with why you love the franchises so much, and you have to know that you can go on for hours talking about moments like when Zed and Addison first broke up in Zombies 2, and we thought, this could be the end, or it could be either be the end or the chance to create a new storyline, or when they realized that they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together just before Zed was going to zombie out for the rest of eternity. I think that with these franchises, what makes them so magical is the fact that they are so unpredictable. And nobody really knows what's going to happen from one moment to the next. I mean, you honestly can't tell me that by Zombies 2, you knew what was going to happen. You knew werewolves were going to see their introduction into the franchise. By Zombies 3, we would get to the point where Seabrook would be subjected to an alien invasion, which sounded really cool to me. I was kind of hoping vampires would have showed up in Zombies ever before aliens did, because it would have made more sense. But aliens came before vampires, which 3.5 years later, by the time Zombies 5 dropped in 2025, it was the most beautiful story that I had ever seen before in a Zombies movie. There was so much detail, there was so much emotion, and when the emotion was so high in Zombies and they couldn't tell the story through the power of the script, they immediately went to music, which was the most effective way for them to do it. This is a beautiful franchise. No matter what way you choose to look at it, it really is a beautiful franchise that has inspired so many people. And I really feel so honored to be in your guys' presence talking about Descendants of Zombies with you every single day, which I will do throughout today. This is my second podcast today, and it's only early. It's only like 9:41 a.m. And I feel so honored to be here, to be able to talk about Descendants of Zombies in the way that I believe it's meant to be talked about for a very long time. Because if you're going to talk about Descendants of Zombies, I think you've really got to be on point. And you've really got to state your case as to why you feel the way you do about Descendants of Zombies. Just don't record a reaction video for the sake of uploading a reaction video about Descendants of Zombies. Because I have seen some of the most ridiculous reaction videos that really have made no sense to me. And I think you guys have ultimately deserve better than what you've been getting on YouTube and what you've been seeing. And I just wanted to be that guy to do it for you. So you knew that this YouTube channel would have videos that would make perfect sense, that would give you hope at least, that there is a chance even that Descendants 5 or Zombies 5, whenever they are released, will eventually happen. Because while people will always say these stories have to see their dramatic conclusions, and I love how they say dramatic conclusions because it has to be anything but a dramatic conclusion, the thing is these franchises really do have a chance of lasting for forever, and I'm just really excited to be here to be talking about it for you guys on this YouTube channel. I don't know how many subscribers this YouTube channel is going to attract, how much of a reach these videos are eventually going to have, but I like to believe that some way or somehow I've been able to touch your heart through the power of talking about Descendants of Zombies, because this really has been an honor for me to be your voice of Descendants of Zombies, to help you make sense of everything having to do with Descendants of Zombies. This has been the greatest honor of my life, and this summer is a summer that I will never ever forget. Thank you guys so much for over 57,000 channel views, almost 3,000 subscribers, 200 away from 3,000 subscribers. Let's see how far we can push this YouTube channel, how many more people this YouTube channel are going to attract. I'm just really excited to see where we go from here. I will be back later on this evening with another video about Descendants of Zombies just before the sun sets. I hope you will join me for it. Don't forget to hit my like and subscribe buttons and join me on this incredible journey, because life really is sweeter when we all are, and all that remains to be said is all we've got to do is stay calm and zombie on. Bye, YouTube. We will talk again in just a few hours from now.